We are going live now. We are live.
Good morning, Salt Lake. Welcome to the 2022 CISD Forum. We're happy to see all of you here on this afternoon. There are a lot of things that we do here today, so this is a big forum. We have a chance to actually So we also want to thank all the volunteers for a lot of hours that they did putting together. The Salt Lake Foundation volunteers here. So good for everything. There's going to be a couple of ground rules that we're going to progress. But first, we want to start off with pledge of allegiance.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the United Texas, one state under God, one. See, light the what so proud at the twilight's gleam. For the rest words so proud stream. Oh, say that star-spangled banner yet waving o'er the land of the free, and the hope of glory.
She's taking the foundation.
Salt Lake Foundation will be hosting a fun, colorful walk run with the team United We Run. It's a fun event for the entire community to help promote healthy and family fun and community spirit. Two key objectives of the run are the run helps in funding the teachers of CISD, very important, and it brings the community together. We hope we want to see all of you there. We hope you'll make time. I'll read from office. Let's quickly remind ourselves of the proper decorum to maintain during this forum. Cell phones should be turned off as a matter of courtesy. So at this point, I'll request that we take a moment to turn your phones off or put it on silent mode. The attendees shall respect the rights of others and shall speak in a civil and courteous manner. This forum is not a debate. So no interactions or debate among candidates will be allowed. No direct interaction with the candidates will be allowed from the audience. The audience cannot speak or ask questions of the candidates. Only the moderators here will be allowed to interact with the candidates. If the moderator feels that an ad hominem or personal attack is being made by one candidate at the other, or one of the moderators can actually interrupt and ask the candidate to stop the line of argument. And if after the first warning, the candidate continues with ad hominem attacks, the candidate will be asked to leave. The audience can submit their questions to moderators to index cards like these. These will be available to you. You can actually submit your questions to the moderators and those index cards. And if you happen to be sitting in this room here, you can use that. Or if you're on Zoom, you can also submit your questions on the moderators are sitting here to be on all of this. Best to cover as much as possible and make sure that those questions are brought to the board. Grandstanding, speaking off topic, or off-color remarks will be called out of order by the moderator. So no applause or cheering will be allowed until after the end of the candidate. Okay? Any audience member who is being boisterous after they have been asked to refrain from loud cheering or applause will be provided a warning. And consequently, if the behavior does not correct itself, that individual will be asked to leave. Okay? So with that, I do want to wish the candidate very pleasant experience doing this. And then you also want to take the time and an interest to actually fund for the board. Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to my
ladies and gentlemen, thank you to the volunteers who are here as well. What a beautiful national anthem we just heard. Thank you so much, and of course, thank you to the candidates. Welcome to the candidate forum for the Carroll ISD Board of Trustees, hosted by the one and only Southwick Foundation. I'm Kira Moss, and I'm joined by Bianca Courts and Somesh Nayana. We will be moderating the forum this morning. We have 3 additional moderators, Deepa Kularu, Vandana Tanaru, and Vamsi Allah, who will be helping us with the questions that we may get from our audience and apply to Zoom. Dragon volunteers will be our timekeepers. We'll see them. They'll be right in front of you. And we'll provide time cards for your reference. On behalf of the South Lake Foundation, we want to thank each of you for being here. It's a huge accomplishment for the South Lake Foundation to have so many people come here. We appreciate it. And choosing to be engaged in the process of understanding and knowing who each of the candidates are that are trying to earn your vote. I want to welcome the audience here in person and those who are joining us online today. Welcome, thank you so much for being here. Today, as you know, we're hosting 4 candidates for the South Lake Foundation Candidate Forum here this morning. Running in place 6 is Laura Durant and Andrew Sexton. If we could just give them a round to say good morning. Running in place 7 is Stephanie Williams and Andrew Yeager. If we can also welcome them this morning. And I did publicly correct myself for calling Alex Andrew. Alex, I am so sorry. Thank you all for being here, and we will commence now by transferring over to Bianca to go over some of the outlining rules. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bianca Cords, and I'm deeply honored to be co-hosting this candidate forum for South Lake Foundation today. We're very excited to have all four candidates here, and we look forward to a respectful and productive conversation. We hope this discussion helps you, our community members, make informed decisions on who you think are the best candidates to lead our kids into the future. Remember, early voting for the Carroll ISD Board of Trustees begins April 25th and goes through May 3rd. The last day to vote is on Election Day, Tuesday, May 7th. Now I'd like to go over the format for the event today. First, each candidate will get 2 minutes for opening remarks. Next, we will go through a question and answer session. The foundation received a lot of questions over the past several days, and we've incorporated all of that feedback into the questions we are asking today. We thank you all for taking the time to submit your questions. Each candidate will get a chance to answer the same question. Candidates will have 1.5 minutes to answer. To keep it fair, we will use the order of the names on the ballot, which is the order in which they are sitting, to determine the order in which the candidates will provide their answers for the first question. We will then rotate for each question asked, so each candidate will take turns having to answer first, second, third, and last. And then Somesh will walk through the audience during the slightly more fun rapid round. We'll then end with each candidate having 2 minutes for closing remarks. The timekeepers up front will give the candidates time cues for 30, 15, and 5 seconds remaining, and finally when the time is up.
Before we begin the question and answer session, we would like to talk about the responsibilities of a school board member and its members. According to the Texas Association for School Boards, TASB, the responsibilities that currently oversee Carroll ISD with relationship to the school board and trustees are as follows. Number 1, they must adopt goals and monitor success that include developing a vision, adopting goals that will keep the district moving forward in a positive direction. Subpoint 2, adopting policies and measuring effectiveness. Boards must adopt policies that are consistent with federal and state laws and regulations and should ensure they match district goals. Number 3, a big one. You have to adopt budget and set tax rates. Number 4, communicate with the community about the plans and the policies. Point 5, the school board is directly involved in hiring and evaluating the superintendent. And finally, according to TASB, board members serve on advisory committees
that provide input on topics such as budget, audit, strategic planning, bonds, and other matters. With that, I'm going to transfer to Bianca and we'll begin.
Okay, let's begin with opening remarks. Laura will go first, followed by Alex, Stephanie, and then Andrew. Laura, you have 2 minutes, and please let the timekeepers know when you're ready.
First, I'd like to thank the South Lake Foundation for hosting. I've been to forums before, but this is my first time in the hot seat. I appreciate the way that y'all run this because it's not a mudslinging contest. It's an opportunity for everyone to hear different ideas and goals. And I think when we all sit down at the table together, that's where we make progress. I am a 33-year resident of Texas, 13-year resident of South Lake, but I was born in Tennessee, the volunteer state, which tracks because I am a civil servant at heart. I'm a stay-at-home mom who is never at home, and I spend a lot of time volunteering. I've been class mom, party mom, library aide, book fair lady, you name it. I founded Troop 4009, Girl Scout troop. I'm actually a 3rd generation Scout leader, which I'm very proud of. And when I called to get my daughter into it, they said there wasn't a troop yet and they needed one started. So I volunteered for that because I love working with kids and it was a great excuse to go back to summer camp. So I have been married to my husband, Bentley, for 19 years, during which time we have had many adventures together, though our greatest has definitely been parenthood, followed closely by an ill-advised diving outing called Shark's Breakfast, which he insisted on. Love will make you do crazy things, which is why I'm running for school board. I love this city. I love this district. I love the opportunities that our daughters have gotten here. I am looking forward to using my communication skills to make some progress, hear some different ideas. And I believe that, that we failed on a few things. Failure is not fatal. And I expect progress, not perfection. So I thank you for your time and I look forward to hearing from the other candidates. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Laura. Alex, you're next. You can let them know when you want them to start.
Okay, first of all, I want to say thank you to all of you for being here. It's a testament to how important this is and how involved the parents are in this community. And I think that's a great thing. It makes our community stand out. Secondly, Kieran, I've been called many, many things in my life, many worse, so no problem there. It's a good thing. I go by a lot of things. Okay, with that, I'm ready to start. Thank you. Okay, so I am Alex Sexton. I've been a resident of South Lake for 3 years, and we moved here from South Carolina. We've got 3 dragons, and we love it here. We've had a great experience. I grew up on the east side of Dallas and went to Skyline High School. Then followed by that, I went to Mesquite High School and graduated from there. Went to the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina. Followed by that, I went into the Air Force where I got to buy airplanes for the United States and our foreign allies. Managed millions of dollars of programs. And while I was there, I got my MBA in finance. And after that, I joined the civilian world and became a business development officer where I manage billions of dollars of programs. And I literally build the program from concept to implementation. And that includes staffing, job skill requirements, all the way to the job description and pay scales. So things that are very relevant to what we're going through right now. Since that time, being in South Lake, I've been on the Zoning Board of Adjustments for the city, and I've also been on the Carroll ISD Strategic Planning Committee. One thing that makes me really unique is my wife. I come from a family of educators. My wife taught for 5 years in various Title I schools around the country, Georgia and Ohio, and my stepmother was a lifelong English teacher. So we love books and we love English and we love red ink. She used to write red ink on all of my papers. Didn't like it very much at the time, but I'm very grateful for that now. So for all of you, really would love the opportunity to earn your vote and endorsement. I take endorsements very seriously, so I know that that's putting your name on my name. So thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to serving you.
Okay, thanks, Alex. Stephanie, you're next whenever you're ready.
I'll just begin by hurting your ears. Sorry about that. So maybe maybe push your ball back a little bit, or is it Alex? Is yours on? Your mic? Okay. Cool. All right. So thank you as well. I just want to echo the sentiments of the other candidates for the opportunity to be here today. All right, I'm ready. Okay, my name is Stephanie Williams, and as you know, I'm running for the CISD Board of Trustees, Place 7. I've been married to my lovely husband, Jay, for nearly 27 years, and I'm the mother of 4 children, 2 Carroll grads. My daughter is now a college graduate, and my son is currently a junior at the United States Air Force Academy. I have 2 current dragons, both who begrudgingly are here today, but I appreciate. My senior recently received his appointment to the Air Force Academy, where he will follow in his older brother's footsteps. And I have a 10th grader. Our family has lived here for 7 years, and we've experienced all levels of education in CISD, from elementary to the senior high. I was a public school teacher where I taught 4th and 6th grades, and I have a master's degree in education with an emphasis in literacy. I would be the only trustee with actual experience teaching in a K-12 public school. I was also a corporate trainer for Merrill Lynch, where I focused on management development training and team building. And I am an independent facilitator for Love and Logic, a parenting philosophy, and have taught hundreds of parents in and around South Lake to glowing reviews, including some in this room. I'm currently a fitness instructor at a local bar, a studio, and an active CISD substitute. My passion has been and continues to be involvement in my children's public schools. I have been PTO president twice, served on teacher appreciation committees, led junior grade book discussions, and was an art docent for 3 years in this district. I'm currently the president of the Gifted and Talented Booster Club, the vice president of Young Men's Service League, and team mom for the JV High School lacrosse team. I'm also a graduate of CLASS, Carroll Leadership Academy for Supporting Success. Just as I taught my children, I believe life is about continually learning and improving, and I would bring that same attitude to my role as trustee. I would focus on students, not politics, and they would remain my priority. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. And Andrew, whenever you're ready.
I could say, echo my fellow candidate, but you can go ahead and start. So good morning, and thank you, South Lake Community Forum, for hosting this year's CISD School Board Candidate event. It is an honor to serve as a CISD School Board trustee. It's an honor also to be running for re-election. I guess I'm lucky I get to do this twice in 6 months. Last fall, our community elected me to a Carroll ISD School Board position in a special election. I was grateful for the tremendous support and record turnout from many of you here. The results showed our community wants common sense solutions to help solve the issues we face. I ran with a motto, #make school board meetings boring again. I did so in response to our citizens' desire to end the needless politicization of issues in South Lake and focus on the matters at hand. With that mandate, I brought my 32 years in the business community and college teacher experience to my new role as a school board trustee. My aim was simple: maintain our ISD's area of excellence while acknowledging where we need work and find solutions. I'm proud to say in just 4 months of serving as a trustee, I've made great strides. We have made great strides, like starting on execution of the district's first strategic plan in 7 years. With the formation of action teams, 3 of which I happen to be a member of, I get to see firsthand how our community, the trustees, administrators, and teachers working together to build a better future for our Dragon students. During today's forum, I'll detail some of the exciting things we're working on, the answers to latest questions on the minds of South Lake citizens, of which it's my desire that you will be moved to support my re-election and continue the great work we've really just begun. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. We're going to commence with the first question. Alex, it will be addressed to you, followed by Stephanie, Andrew, and then Laura. And again, you'll have a minute and a half. The first question, Alex, what was the single most important moment that compelled you to run for school board?
Well, I think there were several moments, but the single most compelling moment was when my family needed support in the community, and the community rose to that occasion. We had some pretty big flooding from the snowpocalypse, and out of nowhere, we had people show up at our house, people we didn't know. No one cared about anything but helping us. And you know, that really told me that we need to do more. We need to do more as a community, and that we have a great community that is interested in serving and being involved. And you know, with my years of service in the Air Force and volunteering as a football coach and a soccer dad and soccer coach, Cub Scout leader, I felt like there was a gap that I needed to start serving again. And so I did.
Thank you so much. Stephanie, same question.
What most motivated me to run is getting back to focusing on students rather than politics. I've seen us get distracted by the noise and disruption around in our community. And as a former teacher, I can appreciate what our teachers have to do day in and day out with Senate Bill 3, restricting things that they can and cannot talk about, with the challenges of the division in the community, with just the sometimes aggressive nature of folks and questioning their professionalism. I just knew that I needed to speak on behalf of teachers and students, that students needed to have a voice in the process. They needed someone to understand about education. They needed someone who'd been trained in that profession. I wanted to bring that perspective to the board. Additionally, our board is very heavily balanced in people with business experience, which is certainly a value given the responsibilities of the board, as Ms. Moss, Dr. Moss shared. But additionally, there isn't a professional educator on the board in terms of someone who has taught K-12 public education. So I just knew that view needed to be there. I also believe that there needs to be a balance, that while we certainly are 70–65% voted for my candidate or my opponent, we need the balanced view so that it's not just all one way of thinking, that there are others in our community who need to be represented as well.
Thank you, Stephanie. Just a quick reminder, if you could have any questions, please feel free to submit those. There should be index cards that are available. If you could pass them up to these tables here, we'd be happy to take those. And again, thank you, Stephanie. Andrew, please, same question, sir.
Sure. It was only recently I learned that I'm a third-generation school board trustee. I was with my dad in Arizona recently, so I guess it was meant to be. What really got me going was many of us were surprised a couple summers ago when a fairly large document was distributed via email to South Lake Carroll parents, and that was, of course, the CCAP. I remember opening up that PDF and getting that before a Monday night. I think we got it maybe on a Friday, and the board meeting was on Monday. And I was just flabbergasted. You know, my family, we moved here 9 years ago, specifically for the schools, for the great community. And I just was surprised at what a certain group of people wanted to do, specifically with the curriculum and the policies of our school. I had lived through that with my undergraduate alma mater, the University of Michigan, just a few years before, where a federal judge said you have got to get rid of a 100-person staffed bias response team because it violated students' First Amendment rights. And when I saw the policing of microaggressions, both intended and unintended in the CCAP, I joined the fight, and I think it's a great fight.
Thank you, Andrew. And finally, Laura, same question. What was the single most important moment that compelled you to run for school board?
In the summer of 2020, I read the testimonials that were released by the South Lake Anti-Racism Coalition. And these are current and former students in CISD. And some of these testimonials were really heartbreaking. They detailed accounts of harassment while in the halls of our schools. And that is what led me to start Love Every Dragon, which is a support group for our LGBTQ+ students. I believe that serving on the school board, one of the big focus, it should be on the students. And I feel like we've really let them down. And so when I started speaking at school board meetings, I was there because I believe in students, and I believe that all students deserve a safe school to go to. Now, I will tell you, when I started LED, the first thing I said to my husband was, don't worry, I will never run for office. But being a civil servant, it is kind of in my nature. And though this is my first campaign, I'm a lifelong learner. And so I really enjoyed this experience, and I look forward to getting the focus back on students, back on the people inside of our schools. We have gotten so politically divided, and I just believe that if we can sit down at the table and share some civil ideas, we can make progress and we can make a better school for our students.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, we'll go on to question number 2. The order this time, we'll start with Stephanie, and then we will go Stephanie, Andrew, Laura, Alex. Second question, if elected, what is the first action item that you would take as a CISD board member?
So this might be a different viewpoint, but I am not going into this position with any set agenda or ideology. I'm going in to listen to all sides. I'm going in with the students as our primary and best focus. And therefore, I'm not going to go in and feel like there's something I'm going to drive through. I'm not beholden to anyone. No one has donated to my campaign and said, I want this rule passed, or I want you to support this agenda. That is not how I'm approaching this. I'm approaching this as a concerned parent, of a lifelong volunteer, a former educator, and I want to go in and bring that to the board. I will approach the issues as they come to the board. And as Laura said, I will sit down and have good conversations with all members of the board, as well as continue to listen to our community. And that means listening to the community members who may not vote for me, because I still represent their children's best interest as a school board trustee as well. So I'm not going to go in with any first action item. I certainly believe that uniting our community is key, and that's why I would take that approach. I also believe getting back to talking about students, and I would always bring back our conversations to kids whenever I'm as a part of those conversations as part of the board.
Thank you, Stephanie. Andrew, same question, please.
You bet. If re-elected, I will continue my work to, one, bring a culture of fiscal discipline to our school district. For example, if we agree on a new expenditure, let's have an honest discussion. How will we fund it? And we've started to do that because of the trustees that I work with and the administration adopting that culture. Also, number 2, to make CISD a leader in special programs. 20% or more of CISD students are served by a special program, everything from 504 to dyslexia. What we need to do and how to make this program better, I'm very excited, and maybe we'll share more about what we've done with SPED in just a short time, especially even this week. It's exciting. And then third, prioritize teacher retention and recruitment. Through pay increases and active listening, we can show our support of our wonderful teachers, build on a tradition of excellence that attracts teachers and staffs. And I can say I was very proud, and one of my early votes was to help vote and pass a retention bonus of $1,000 to teachers. When that was added to the 2% that the board had put in earlier, we had an effective 4% this year. It's not what we need to, it's not the finish line, but it's the start. And I know that we can continue to do that to get our teachers what they deserve.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, Laura, you're next.
Much like Stephanie, I'm not approaching this with a goal of taking over or making my vision a priority. To work with the school board, with this community, and listen to what it has to say. That being said, one of my goals would be to begin the work of repairing our relationships. First, repairing our relationships with teachers. Through speaking to teachers, we have lost a lot of trust with one of the most important communities in CISD, the people who are putting in the work. We need to start attracting more teachers. Right now, we are losing teachers. And I have not given up on a D&I program. I do think that is very important. I know the CCAP was extremely controversial. but a D&I program go a long way into helping us communicate, preparing our students for life outside of CISD. Almost every Fortune 500 company has a D&I program. Colleges have D&I programs. Denying them that opportunity, I think, is a disservice to our student community. So I would work on just repairing the trust within the community with parents through open dialogue, through workshops, and just active listening.
Thank you, Laura. Alex, same question. What is the first action item you would take as a CISD board member?
So we have a lot of work that would be cut out that we need to accomplish. My goals would be to protect the parental rights. I want to serve all of our dragons, not some, not a few, all of our dragons. And I want to do so in a fiscally responsible manner. So the first action that I would bring to the board would be something related to that. I will tell you that on the Learning and Development Action Committee that I'm a part of as a part of the follow-on to strategic planning is we're working on some looking at creating innovative pathways and programs for all of our drag. It's going to be really exciting what we eventually roll out. Of course, it's not going to happen. Rome wasn't built in a day. This isn't going to happen in a day either. We're going to have to make some trade-offs as we go through the budget and make sure that everything in the strategic plan is fully funded and considered. But I think there are some really cool things that we're going to be able to do in terms of how we do business. I also want to get back to focusing on the fundamentals of teaching and learning. We've got phenomenal teachers. We've got phenomenal educators. We got to support them. But we don't need indoctrination of any sort. We need to love all of our people. Finally, the one thing that I really think we need is efficient and controlled processes that are integrated across the district. We've got to be able to have alignment across the board.
Thank you, Alex. Third question, we'll begin with you, Andrew, please, followed by Laura, and then Alex, and then Stephanie. Andrew, what is your definition of safety at school? How will you implement a plan that promotes your definition of safety?
The relationship that our school district has with our city is phenomenal, and it's extremely important. I'm very proud for the second election that I'm a part of to be endorsed again by our mayor, the last 3 mayors, our entire city council. And the reason I say this is that without their support, the physical safety of our students could be in jeopardy. We may be the only school district in America that has an armed police officer at every one of our 11 campuses. Do not think that that could not change if we did not have a good relationship with our city. And one of the things that's kind of troubling in a way when you're a school board member, there's information that is confidential that you're privy to. And sometimes it's pretty tough as a parent to listen. And it just happens to be that when you hear our SROs doing the job that they love to do, because they're not just police officers in the eyes of our kiddos, they're much more than that. And they establish a very healthy role model in their view of the police, which in this country is sorely needed. And when we hear of the heroic things that they've done, and you realize how important it is, we just heard one recently. So that is physical safety. Mental health safety, I leave that up to our great counselors.
Thank you, Andrew. Laura, same question, please.
Safety to me is physical safety. So in a school environment where all dragons feel safe. Again, these testimonials, we have a lot of students that don't feel safe. They don't feel like they have a welcoming environment. I think the first step to fixing that is acknowledging that there's a problem. It's hard to go anywhere when we can't get past that first step of acknowledging, okay, these students have told us they're not feeling safe. We need to start listening to them. I'm a fan of the SRO program. I have a great respect for police officers. I have a lot of those in my family. And I know that's a job that's coveted. I mean, Officer Ken came out of retirement to take that job. And so I feel safe knowing that the kids are in school with someone who is trained to protect them like that. I think also we have to address the mental health crisis that our students are in right now. Unfortunately, suicide rates have skyrocketed. So I believe that part of safety is encouraging the program, encouraging our counselors to be able to talk to students, not just plan schedules. I think that's a very important part of that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Alex, same question, please.
You don't want me to speak? Keep turning. No, in all seriousness, we've got some great teachers, great counselors. When we came to this area 3 years ago, every educator bent over backwards to receive us and make us feel welcome. And I can't imagine that anybody would have a different experience than that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but our teachers care. I get notes, and this goes a long way. Our teachers provide they'll write a thank you note for just having such a great kid. And that is just heartwarming, and parents, the teachers don't have to do that. They took the time to do that. So I think from a mental perspective, my daughter's in Hope Squad, and I think it's a good program, and we need to explore more of that. We need to make sure that all of our dragons feel like dragons. From a physical security standpoint, the SRO program is great, and our relationship with the city, I mean, Andrew hit on that. And I think everyone agrees that we've got some phenomenal SROs. I still have a relationship with the SRO that was at my high school. And great guy, made a huge impact on me, not only as, in his police officer role, but as a leader. So I think it supports the educational environment for our SROs to be around.
Thank you, Alex. And again, last opportunity to answer this, Stephanie. What is your definition of school safety, and how will you implement a plan that promotes your definition of safety?
All right. Well, as parents, we all want schools to provide a safe environment that allows our children to grow and learn. And one of the basic tenets of my campaign is making sure all students feel welcome and safe. But safety is not just physical, although we certainly have that to thanks through the SRO program, as already been mentioned, which is a great partnership between CISD and the city. But safety is also feeling comfortable asking questions and having difficult discussions. We have to find ways to work through them rather than to litigate or stop all dialogue. Teaching our students how to think critically will better prepare them for whatever path they choose to take after leaving CISD. And as adults in the community, we must model this dialogue and a willingness to work together. I'm ready and willing to have tough conversations, work to find agreement, and do all this while keeping the students and their education as the focus of what I do. If you haven't had the pleasure, I encourage you to watch any of my past school board speeches. I model what I'm saying. I am respectful, I am on point, but I also challenge and encourage others to challenge the way they think. And I invite you to look at that and see what I think. I think it demonstrates my ability to work in a respectful way and to share maybe different ideas and make people think differently.
Okay, thank you. All right, question number 4. The order this time is Laura, Alex, Stephanie, and then Andrew. What is the biggest issue impacting students who receive special education services, and how would you address it? All right, let them know when you're ready to start.
So I was at the most recent CPAC meeting where I found that the consensus among parents was that they did not want another audit. We were spending $80,000 going towards this, but for starters, the sample was not going to be big enough. They were going to audit 15 to 20 kids. That's not an accurate representation of our special education department. Also, Gibson was, understandably a little timid doing this audit in a district that is, quite frankly, known for the deep divide of politics. My biggest thing is that, you know, we should focus on the future and not the past. So I think we should use that 80K towards student services and not an audit. And also, we turned down $10.5 million in COVID relief funds. That's crazy. And the reasoning, I don't know why, and I know the school board wasn't involved in that, but they should have been. That could have really helped our special education students. And my guess is that it's because the language included stuff like social emotional learning, which is perceived by some as CRT. But again, put the politicization aside and focus on the students. Yeah, so I mean, I definitely think that that $10.5 million would have come in handy.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, Alex, whenever you're ready.
How much time do we have?
A minute and a half.
Goodness, okay. No, so I think that I've got to give some praise here to Dr. Ledbetter and his staff. They just brought on Dr. Stacy Bonner, and she is fantastic. Dr. Ledbetter gets that you've got to get the right people in the right positions first and foremost. And Dr. Bonner is eminently qualified, and that's why we're going to be heading in the right direction. We're already headed that way now. She's going to get the right processes in place. She's going to get the right people in place. We just recently reorganized SPED, and that is going to make a world of difference. Followed by that, getting those processes in place and getting the right resources. That's what's going to help our problems. And it's really, you know, even though we have some issues in SPED, the fact that the parents are so involved is a great thing. So I think that's what's going to help us resolve the issues. We got a lot of them, but we're going to have to work through those.
Thank you, Alex. Stephanie?
Well, I too was at the recent CPAC meeting, and I've also had lots of conversations with folks who are involved in the special programs, Booster Club as well, which has been around a long time. And that's the first thing I would do and foremost is talk to the parents who have dragons with special needs. Listen to what their needs are. I certainly have had the opportunity to do that when I attend school board meetings. I hear that there are gaps in that program. I too am excited that we have a director in place. I know that that has been challenging without a director, and the first step she did was to kind of reorganize things and find a better way to use the resources we currently have. Additionally, using for hopefully those funds that we're going to be put towards that audit for the actual special programs is another way that we can move forward and make sure that those dragons with special needs are a focus of our school board. We are federally mandated to do that. Additionally, we receive federal funds for that specifically, and we have to be good stewards of those funds and ensure that they're being used to provide an environment that allows those dragons to move forward, whatever that looks like for them, because every student is different. There's no one student that's exactly alike, and that's no different for our dragons with special needs.
Thank you. Andrew, same question. What is the biggest issue impacting students who receive special education services, and how would you address it?
As you've heard me say, making CISD a leader in special programs is a top priority. Previously, we were not, as a department, structured for success. And that is one of the things that came from the audit. And that was to say, we need to be functionally aligned. And Ms. Stacy Bonner, our new executive director, came in, recognized that, took that and said, here is the alignment we need with our new board coordinators, all of their job titles, and I need your board approval. I was happy to, and it was unanimous vote for Ms. Bonner's hiring. I was happy not unanimous vote to also add in the restructuring that needed board approval. And then just this week, because I too attended the SPED parents meeting, and it was parents coming up to you when you're a trustee, parents do come up to you, and they said, we don't need to spend the rest of this money on this. Will you please look into this, talk to the administration and your other school board members? And I said, I can't make a promise, but I will bring this up. And it was great to see the rest of the board said, you know what, we're for this. I'm holding in my hand for my meeting with Ms. Bonner exactly where about $70,000 will go to make our SPED program better. All special educators will receive training The resource inclusion teachers will receive training. Structured learning ACE teachers in Paris will receive training. CM2 teachers in Paris will receive training, and on and on. That this summer.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. I'm equally as excited about special populations and appreciate your enthusiasm. The next question, Alex, you'll be starting this one. Stephanie, followed by Laura, followed by Andrew, and then Laura finally. We all know Carroll ISD is a phenomenal school district doing a lot right, but what are one or two things that you've seen work effectively or well in other school districts to see implemented at CISD, please?
Well, I do think we do a lot of good things here, and that is why we're excellent. Recently, one of the highest performing school districts in the nation. In fact, most of us moved here for the schools. So I think it's important that we really align our processes and make sure that we are running a well-efficient organization, well-run, efficient organization. Dr. Ledbetter's done a great job getting the right people in the right seats. We got to get resources. We got to get our people trained and in place. And you know, we've got to make sure that we execute with discipline. So I think those are three things that we really need to do.
Thank you, Alex. Stephanie, same question, please.
Well, fortunately, I've had the pleasure of living in 5 different states, and my children have attended public school in those 5 states. In fact, my opponent and I both lived in a community that had excellent public schools. Prior to here, both of us lived in Wilmette, Illinois, and they are known for outstanding schools, the New Trier District, and ours was the D39 feeder district. Unfortunately, my opponent chose to send his children to private school there rather than capitalizing on the public schools. One thing that they did there, and that they've done in other districts in which I've been a part, including when I was a teacher, was resources for teachers. We talk a lot about supporting those teachers. Well, they need resources. Instructional coaches are something that surrounding districts provide, and that the districts I've lived in provided, and that we don't currently provide. I know it is on our strategic plan, but it's also going to be a matter of be able to financially pay for that, as our fiscal picture is not quite as rosy as it's being presented sometimes by some members of our board. We also see that those have done social emotional learning for years ago, and they were still doing so much social emotional learning to teaching kids to be empathetic, to understand and appreciate differences, and to capitalize on that. So I absolutely implement it. And then the way they do parent involvement. There's a family action network, and it's a great way to bring in education speakers with lots of different perspectives so that we can learn as the parents of the students as well.
Thank you. Andrew, please.
Well, yeah, we did live in Wilmette, and I was very proud that my children went to the local Catholic school that literally was in my backyard. This is the type of character and integrity.
So, audience, please no clapping or. I think that right after Andrew finishes.
Excuse me, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, really quickly, an ad hominem attack would be a personal attack by nature. And it was, hold on one second, allow me to speak. What they did, what she did, she said she elected not. So I'm gonna give you one warning to stop yelling at me, because I feel like I'm dealing with a 10-year-old, and then I ask you to leave.
So folks, so I hear you guys. So number one, refrain from directly, sort of pointing things at responses. That's one thing, and second, and you'll have your time reset. So, and also, so let's, as we agreed at the beginning of the meeting, so we will not take any personal references. We'll refrain from that. And also, please, I think, audience, I would really, really request you to not do that. I understand, I think we're catching it, we're in discussion here as it's happening, as you can see, right? I just wanted, Andrew to respond, for me to come back and respond to this. Okay, so we're not.
May I ask a question as a candidate of the?
No.
I can't ask of you all as part of the process, because an attack isn't a personal attack, a factual.
Okay. So let's continue.
I'm sorry.
So let's continue.
Please control the audience.
We will. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please. For the sanctity of the children who are in here, who are volunteering to earn hours, they are students at Carroll ISD, and the Southlake Foundation is here for them. We all appreciate your political division, but I am begging you, please, for the children who are here in 5th grade, 8th grade, 10th grade, and 12th grade, let's move on. Andrew, on behalf of the Southlake Foundation, we're sorry we didn't stop Stephanie. Andrew, may I please repeat the question to you, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Andrew, if you could please point out 1 or 2 things that you've seen work well in other school districts that you would like to see implemented at Carroll ISD. Thank you.
Certainly. I think what we saw there is a little exhibit of the difference of our character and integrity. And I like to stay right on the question and answer it pertinently. Highland Park is a school district that we often compare ourselves to. And one of the things that they do, it's an idea I really like, warm up to it because I do need the buy-in from PTOs, is that they have their child nutrition pretty much funded by volunteers from the PTOs at the various campuses. This saves enormous amounts of money, something that we need to do at Carroll ISD. So just consider this for a moment. In child nutrition, we currently have 35 full-time employees. About $25,000 to $30,000 average per year is their compensation. With each full-time employee that we can replace with a dedicated volunteer, say maybe just starting out with 2 per campus, that's $660,000 a year that ISD could save. So directing the PTOs, I would not tell them what to do, but it's just an idea. And it is something, again, that we would be mirroring a very good ISD in Highland Park. Right there, that's over 2% of the entire teacher allotment raise. For every $300,000 that we can save or find, that's an additional 1% we can give to our teachers for a raise.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you so much for being able to redirect everybody. Thank you to the audience as well. Finally, Laura, same question to you to conclude this amazing question.
Well, like many of you, my husband and I moved to Southlake, excuse me, for the schools. I feel like our kids get almost a private school education here in Southlake. And I know that we have an expectation of excellence. And I think that part of expanding that would be DISD, for example, Austin ISD, both have great DEI programs that are built in. All the data is showing that it's had a positive impact. Students, BIPOC students, LGBTQ+ students, white students, all students are feeling better about having a better understanding of their fellow students. And so I think that we could really benefit from a D&I program. SEL is a big one for me. I think that I don't believe it's CRT. I think that, talking about empathy and emotion and those are good things for our students. That's what we should be modeling for our students, is empathy for one another. So though we may disagree vehemently sometimes, we can still sit down and have a conversation at the table, which is why I think it would be a good idea to hire a moderator for some of these things, a non-biased person to oversee some of these talks that we have. I think an outside influence might serve us well. So let's think about hiring a moderator.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, the next question. The order this time will go Stephanie, Andrew, Laura, and then Alex. Most effective leaders lead by example. Please give specific examples of how you have shown leadership in this community.
Well, one way I've shown it is at each school board meeting where I speak. I've shown how to do so respectfully and how to stay on point and to bring up information that is only relevant, not an actual attack against another individual. I've also shown it consistently in the different ways I volunteered. As I mentioned, I am currently the Booster Club president for the South Lake Association of Gifted and Talented. That is a great organization. 23% of our student population is considered gifted and talented. And I've had the pleasure of working with that organization since we moved here. And I've also had the pleasure of working very closely with Gina Petty, and she can speak to my ability to lead that group, to offer valuable learnings for both students and teachers and for parents as well. And I've also taken on leadership roles in lots of other ways. PTO president, as I mentioned. I'm also vice president of YMSL, which is a great service organization of which people of all different beliefs are a part. And we get to engage in service with our sons. It's a way to see kind of outside the South Lake bubble. And I have been in a leadership role in that position and have shown my ability to, again, get people of different ideas to come together and work on a common cause. And I would do that as a leader, as a trustee.
Thank you, Stephanie. Andrew?
One of the things that I said, I believe it was in the forums in the fall campaign, was that I feel I would be a successful trustee if someone who voted for me came up and said, thank you. Last night, that person said thank you to me. They're in this room and I wanted to say thank you so much for doing that, because that was one of my goals and you helped me achieve it. That wouldn't have been possible if this person didn't say, I would like to take you out to lunch after your fall election. And I said, you got it, just don't tell any of my supporters. And we had a beautiful lunch and it lasted a couple hours and I learned so much about the needs of his student, his son. And when I got onto that role, onto that dais and was able to take action, I never forgot that lunch and what I could do to help that student. So I try to be humble in my life. My faith teaches me that. But you ask for an example, and my grandfather said, it ain't bragging if you've done it. And I listened to that person and we got something done. And I'm very proud of that.
Thank you, Andrew. Laura, same question.
I've been involved in a lot of community service, again, starting with Scouts. I think it's very important. If you have privilege, I'm lucky. I get to be a stay-at-home mom. If you have the time, volunteer, because it makes a difference. Volunteering in our schools, running our book fairs, being the head of the student activities committee. These are all things that have allowed me to interact with teachers, with students, to see what's really going on during our school day that a lot of us don't get a peek into. You know, I'm also a DVR. I really believe in democracy. I'm getting out there, getting people registered to vote, which, you know, we're not allowed to ask, oh, are you voting Republican or Democrat? To me, it is about the freedom as an American to be able to do that. That is so precious. And so I'm very loud about defending that. That's why I'm running for school board. I believe that public schools are a cornerstone of our democracy. That is one of the things that makes America great. And so I do think that also, you know, speaking at school boards, taking an active part in listening and seeing what's actually going on, not hearing the opinions of others necessarily to form your own opinion, but actually going and talking to people who have different views than you, goes a really long way.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, Alex, same question. Please give specific examples of how you have shown leadership in this community.
So I think the most important thing as a parent is for the leadership of my household. My kids are involved in Hope Squad, YMSL, National Charity League. My oldest daughter has been appointed as an officer of a nonprofit. So teaching them how to lead and serve others multiplies. We've been able to show them serving the homeless in Dallas, for example, and just being able to have them watch me connect with people who are not like me is very important. Secondly, strategic planning committee, very highly involved in that and engaged in that, as were many of our community members, and just such an awesome opportunity to help lead the direction of the school district in the future. We're going to do some amazing things. And finally, zoning board of adjustments, where I had to broker property situations, and property is a very important thing to people, right? It's a huge asset. So being able to help and negotiate, make sure folks have the ability to do with their property what they wanted to do. So all of that together, being a leader and showing by example.
Thank you so much. In order just to expedite, rather than moving on to the next question, we're going to move on to the fun facts round. I feel like we need a little bit of light air in the room. So Kamesh, if you could please engage that, and the four of you give you a chance to give a breath.
All right, thank you. So first of all, I want to say, except for the little thing that we had there, thank you for really, making this a very peaceful event so far, and I hope to finish this in a peaceful fashion. So we're going to do a little bit, we'll have a little fun with the candidates here. So there's a few fun questions for you. So if you want to get up and shake off the stress or whatever, and you want to walk around, that's fine. But here's what I want to do. I want to take this question instead of just me asking. If you want to ask the question, I can come up to you. So if you ask the audience a question, I'll come up to you and then I'll have you ask. If not, we'll have one of the volunteer, students here ask. Is that fine with you? You guys game? Yeah. Let's see what these guys have got. Okay. All right. Put in some tests. All right. Who's going to go first? Any volunteers? All right. There you go.
This question is for all of you. Who was your favorite teacher when you were at school and why?
Did you guess that?
Laura.
Oh, that's an easy one. It was Miss Crane, my home ec teacher. She was magical. Not only did she teach us to cook and balance a checkbook, which is something I think our students could use now, those practical skills. She was also extremely kind. She led by example. I remember one time she actually had us over to her house for a home cooked meal. And that's, some of my friends, that was the only home cooked meal that they'd had in months. And just to know that a teacher cares about you that deeply, it really made an impact, and I will always remember her.
All right. So as we do this, guys, let's limit it to like a few seconds. You don't have a minute. You don't have a minute. You don't have a whole minute. All right. So thank you.
So I remember every single one of my teachers, all the way, at least from 1st through 6th, and at the elementary level, they all made a huge impact on me. I loved them all. I was their teacher's pet. No, I seriously really just appreciate what they've done for me personally. I think my most favorite teacher was Mr. Wilder in high school, and he was my economics professor, and I loved economics, and he actually looked a lot like me. And so people would walk through the hallways and say, "Hey, I saw your twin," So for me, it was really fun, and I just love that class altogether. And I'm still connected to him today as well. So, thank you.
My favorite was Mr. G. He was my AP US history teacher at the high school where I went, the high school I attended, and north of Denver. There was only a couple AP classes. And the other one was AP Physics. That's not my jam. So thank goodness I had a good teacher in AP US History. He just was inspiring. He made the information fun. He made me want to go back to teaching. I didn't want to teach high school per se, but it did make me want to go become a teacher because of the way he inspired me.
Clark Manning, freshman high school year speech professor, teacher. He used a little bell, if you know the game Pit that you hit. And in speech, if you're up there and you go, Bing, and you get 3 dings, and you sit down, and he would say, "Take a seat." I still use some of those tactics with my class at University of North Texas, but I'm teaching them for public speaking without the bell.
Okay, so one quick one. So which one of you were the front benchers or the back benchers? Let's start with.
Yeah, you got it. I was a front, but of course I was a nerd, so I was always in the front row.
Front to back, or in the middle?
Oh, all the way to the back.
We should talk about it. What about this?
Right up front, raising my hand, much to my children's chagrin. That's still who I am today.
I'm not surprised, 3 of us also front.
All right, so I need another volunteer. Who wants to go next? All right, here we go.
Okay, name one thing you like about your opponent.
Yeah, you can start. 15 seconds, please.
You guys keep changing the rules on us. Hey, at least you didn't ask us to dance, okay?
We can change anything we want.
Oh, yeah, all right. No, I think my opponent is, first of all, I think running for service of public office is a huge endeavor, and I really admire you, and I can sense that you care for the children and the people of the community.
I would say Mr. Yeager is committed to his faith and to his family, and I respect that.
I could never run a marathon, let alone how many you have. I don't know anybody who volunteers more.
I really admire Alex because he's devoted to his family, and my rule is family first, no exceptions. And again, it is also very scary to run for office. So anyone who does that, regardless of political affiliation, I have a lot of respect for that. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. So another volunteer. Oh, you want to do it? All right. So let's do the question.
If you had a time machine, what would you go back and do differently?
Yes, sir. All right.
I'm not one that's much for regrets. I feel like everything we've done or I've done in my life has been an opportunity to succeed or to learn from it. So I don't know, I try really hard to instill that in my children also, not to regret. So I don't know that I would go back and redo anything. I've appreciated different aspects of my life. I certainly have made some decisions that I've thought later, wow, that was a doozy, but I've moved forward from that and it's made me who I am today.
This one's pretty easy. I would have held on to my Apple stock.
Like Stephanie, I don't know that I would have changed anything because it really makes you who you are, but I would definitely have gone back and gone to Woodstock just for the great music and being I always feel like I was born in the wrong decade. So I would love to go back to the 60s for a little while.
So I have 0 regrets. I have failed a lot in life, and yet here I am. And I want my kids to fail a lot because I think that makes you better. It makes you more resilient. And in fact, we brought our kids here so that they would fail successfully, of course. But we needed them to be challenged in as many ways as possible, from athletics to academics, and this was the place to do it.
Is this being too easy for you guys? Seems like you guys have answers to all questions. So next one, please.
What was the last book you read?
All the way through.
Gosh, this is so hard because I'll just say the one I'm reading right now. And it is, I can't even name the name of it, but it's by Zach Voorhees, who's a whistleblower at Google. And I can't even think of the name of it, but great book about what goes on behind the scenes at Google. I guess I'm still reading it.
I love to read, but the last book, the one I just finished, is called The Truth by Nick Cutter. It was very scary. I picked it up because Stephen King had a blurb on the front that said, "This is old school horror at its best." I read a little bit of everything, but that one, couldn't put it down, kept me up at night, and I had to skip 2 pages. That's how good the writing was. It was terrifying, not for the faint of heart.
So the last book I read, at least excerpts, was the Bible. And then prior to that, would be a business book. So I'm rereading Good to Great. And I like to read a lot of books on self-help, business, and just, you know, becoming a better person, both from a knowledge and education standpoint.
I read a ton as well, and I try and alternate between kind of heavier nonfiction stuff, where that is helping me evolve as a person, and also I love murder mysteries. So I just finished Patricia Cornwell's latest called Autopsy. It's a recurring character case. She's a medical examiner, and it's got lots of dark mystery in it. I highly recommend.
Thank you. So one last question. Who wants to go that? One more. All right. Here we go. If you were to win the Powerball, would you still want this job? So,
Laura, you're right.
Y'all want the honest answer to this? Weirdly enough, I actually do really enjoy this work. I say work, it's not really like a job, but I'm a person who likes to stay busy. I have to have something that I can work towards. Yeah, I probably still want the job, but I would definitely get a new ride to come up to the school district, a Viper or something cool like that.
So yes, but that would make funding the campaign very much more palatable. So I would give a big loan to myself, for myself. Yes, I would still do this. It's a labor of love. It takes a lot of time and a lot of commitment, but right now I think I have the experience and expertise to continue going forward on this and do well.
I too would take the job because as Mr. Yeager said, it's in me to volunteer. It's also in me to give back. I've been very blessed in my life and privileged in my life. And this is one way that I feel like I can share my experience and I can be a voice for people who don't have that voice. And I would continue to do that. But like Laura said, maybe not in a nicer ride, but my outfit would really be on point always.
If that happened, you'd be looking at the next property owner of the Milner Ranch.
Thank you. And if I was allowed for the board, looks like everybody wants to be here even after winning a lottery. So thank you guys, this was fun, and I think this is what is missing in the equation. We want to be able to smile on things, right? It's not always about business. We're families. We live here. That is the fabric of our life here. So we've got to knock it off sometimes. Okay, with no further ado, there's a lot of things I think that are still coming up. So I'm going to hand it off to Kurt.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for participating in the lightning round. Thank you to the audience members for participating. Appreciate that. And we just want to get back to a few more heavy hitting questions, and we appreciate your time and obviously the audience's time and energy as well. Next one, we'll start with Andrew, Laura, Alex, and then Stephanie. It's a funding budget line item question. What line items in the CISD budget stand out to you and why? How would you improve the strength of the district? You, sir, please, Andrew.
You bet. So the only way, first of all, Robin Hood puts a school district of our size and that we're kind of landlocked and don't have a lot of new developments at a real disadvantage. One of the things about being a trustee is you get to these financials and you just say, man, we need creative problem solving. The good news is, my more than 3 decades in business, that's what you do every day, right? Or certainly I do in my world, and that's come up with solutions. So I look at things in the budget to say, what are possible cost savings? Where are areas to that are going to be the revenue streams? I just talked about one before that I really liked at Highland Park that could save us $660,000. Again, that's an over 2% raise additional that we could give to our teachers. I love that idea. So that's in childhood nutrition. We can't give every single employee a 4% raise. We can't. We have to understand that we're going to do this in a way the incremental. So as I said, good start. New technology. I'm on the technology action team. I asked the teacher who was sitting right next to me in those meetings, I said, do you use the desktop? Before we spend $300,000 on new desktop computers, do you use that or do you use your laptop? She says, I never use my desktop. We made a recommendation as a board to refresh. So that's the way I look at the budget.
Thank you, Andrew. Laura, same question, please.
Before I answer that, I do have to say, I love Chevrolets. My family is in the Chevrolet business. So thank you, Tom, for my beautiful Tahoe. I was just kidding about the Viper. So as far as the budget goes, you know, I think the money that we set aside for our mental health programs, I think we probably should have allocated a little bit more money to that, given that our students and our teachers are recovering from COVID. And we've had a great deal of learning loss that we're trying to keep up with. So a big part of that, I think, is mental health. We are really excellent in academics, but I think we could be better in that area. You know, I think we should have a bigger budget for custodial services, because I heard a lot of teachers, especially during COVID, telling stories about stuff like being asked to clean the bathrooms because there was no money for that. That's kind of ridiculous to me, because they're already working very hard. As we all know, we had our kids home, teaching them ourselves and during lockdown, and realized how hard a teacher's job is. And now it's even harder dealing with that learning loss. And then finally, you know, I would improve the financial strength of the district. You know, we need to stop these lawsuits. You know, if we can sit down and we can start communicating openly, maybe we wouldn't get to that point. And so I think we should put the focus back on students and teachers.
Thank you, Laura. Alex, to you, sir.
Yeah, so I think one thing that we need to do is improve our processes. I think that drives efficiency, it drives compliance, it drives transparency across the board. So that's number one that we have to do. And that in and of itself improves our ability to do things with what we have, with the resources that we do have. So that's number one. Robin Hood, it hurts us. We pay a lot back in recapture. Now, House Bill 3 was a good start in addressing that back in 2019, but it's not fully done yet. So we need to think about different ways. And I've talked to some of our representatives and some of our local government officials on maybe some longer term things that we can do. Not really willing to disclose all the details here today, but I think there are some things that we can do if we think outside the box, which will really help not only us, but those that we pay recapture to. So I think that's it.
Thank you. And finally, Stephanie, I'll repeat the question for you. What line items in the CISD budget stand out to you and why? And how would you improve the financial strength of the district? Thank you.
Any line item related to teachers are the items that stand out to me. We know that we are in the middle of how teachers are paid. The surrounding districts, in fact, Northwest and Keller, as well as DISD and Fort Worth, all pay their teachers more. We have gotten away with that because the teachers have had the privilege of working in CISD, which is still a privilege. We have fantastic kiddos and fantastic families, but we need to address that because those are the folks that have the most direct contact with our students, and we have to show them their value. We can absolutely do that in lots of different ways, by expressing our appreciation for them, by doing the different ways we do with teacher appreciation lunches and all those things. But pay is one way, as we know in the real world, that we show appreciation for someone, and we need to find ways to do that. In terms of ways for financial strength, I'm going to echo what Mr. Durant said about legal fees. I would, on the board, encourage that we dialogue rather than litigate. I would encourage us to be sure that we're within the confines of our responsibilities, meaning that when we go to reprimand a teacher that is outside educational code, and then we have to pay legal fees related to that, that's another way we could be more financially responsible. And I would just encourage focusing on revenue streams, like using that Great Fine Arts Center as a way to bring in money to our district.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next question, and we will start with Laura this time. The newly adopted strategic plan has a goal to recruit, develop, retain, and empower highly qualified and passionate staff. What are your specific suggestions to achieve this goal?
The first thing we need to do towards achieving this goal is definitely work on fixing our reputation. Because we have lost a lot of trust with the staff that we have now. I know several teachers who have said they will not apply in Southlake, which is really unfortunate, but at the same time, with us always being in the headlines for these things, it's also not surprising. You know, again, like Stephanie said, our teachers are not paid the highest, they're not paid the lowest. So we need to work on getting them some more benefits, be that instructional coaching, you know, a Jeans pass was good before COVID, but I think we need to up our game. And I think that we need to definitely stop treating teachers as suspects. I can't speak for all teachers, but a lot of the ones I've talked to said that's how they feel with these propositions of putting cameras in classrooms and being accused of indoctrination. Really get our reputation and our dialogue back to what matters, which is teachers and students. Get back focused on the people inside the schools, not everyone arguing outside of the schools, so that we can all have a shared vision, because that's a better place to work when you have a shared vision and everyone's on the same page. We might disagree, but we're all working towards the same goal.
Thank you, Laura. Alex?
So the areas that we're really experiencing, and we did have a lot of discussion on this topic. So the areas that we're really experiencing attrition are food service, custodial, and facilities maintenance, and sped parapros. 3 out of those 4 areas, I have direct experience building billion-dollar programs to address those needs. So I will do that here as well. With sped parapros, we need to take a look at their occupation. They're a high demanding occupation. They are few in number, and they have a demanding job. So we need to look at how we compensate them and all the other surrounding supportive mechanisms that exist, such as processes, having a director in place. Those are all going to facilitate retention in the SPED programs. So the other 3 areas, we got to look at what's going on there, but there's dislocations in every industry, but specifically those, and that is across the board. That's not specific to Carolina State.
Thank you, Alex. Stephanie?
Well, having been a teacher, I understand there are many factors in identifying, rewarding, and retaining the best teachers and administrators. And I have also watched with growing concern as some of our most respected leaders have chosen to leave the district in the last year with the promise of more to follow at year's end. Teacher turnover is a real concern, and it has to be top of mind and something that we are focused on and thinking about. One way to retain teachers, as I mentioned before, is those instructional coaches. Also offering professional development opportunities, allowing them ways to perhaps advance their own education by getting a master's degree, as I did when I was a teacher. That $10 million fund or grant that Laura mentioned a bit ago would have been a great opportunity to use some of those funds. So now we need to find other ways and be sure that we don't miss future opportunities like that. The best teachers are those who are there for one reason, and it's the students, students. They go to school every day with the intent to inspire those kids. They are not there to indoctrinate them or share their political views. They are there because they love students, they love learning, and they want to inspire the next generation of teachers, just like the teachers we all mentioned did for us.
Thank you, Stephanie. Andrew, I'll repeat the question one more time. What are your specific suggestions to achieve the strategic plan goal of recruiting, developing, retaining, and empowering high qualified and passionate staff?
Yep. So we've got the retention issue, we've got the recruitment issue. Teachers are our human capital. We need to market our students and culture to attract the most talented staff. We compete with schools and we also compare. When you look at the average teacher, it is not high enough, but the average teacher at CISD is higher than both Eames, Westlake, Austin, and it's higher than Highland Park. I just checked these facts with our administrator the other day. But the schools we compete with that are neighboring, where teachers might drive through the district, they do pay higher. So how do we compete with more schools, not just do better on the compare? We talked a little bit about my ideas for comp. Additional things we can do is change the contribution to the monthly health insurance. Right now, we have about $290 a month. The average ISD pays a teacher $390, so $290, $390. If we increase that, the state cap is $500. Also, I talked to administrators who said these are the best schools of ed that we should be concentrating. Texas A&M, didn't know this. Students have to teach both urban and rural ISDs, and our administrators like that because they're very well-rounded. Also UNT for administrators, and the most important thing, teachers have to connect with kids. So they say we need to be more discerning.
Thank you so much, Andrew. And we have arrived at our final question for this morning that will be followed by your closing remarks. So the last question this morning, Alex, it will be directed at you first by Stephanie, Andrew, and Laura. What are the characteristics of an effective school board leader, in your opinion? Please.
So the characteristics of an effective school board leader, obviously someone that leads by example, but someone that cares about the administration, the staff, the teachers, the students, and the parents. You have to have everyone involved. It's a partnership. And I think as a board member, you got to be able to set effective policies in place that will provide that strategic direction. And when there's an issue, you got to be the broker of truth there. So I think supporting the administration goes a long way, and I think that's very important. But it takes the whole community. It takes the partnership there.
Thank you, Alex. Stephanie, same question.
So I think first and foremost, you need an understanding of education, of K through 12 public education, and an understanding of pedagogy, how students learn. You need time in the district. I think the best way, and to be the most effective trustee, you need to have been in the classrooms. You need to have been in those communities, in those programs, watch the different ways that our district operates. I was, as I mentioned, a part of class, and I got to see it firsthand. I got to talk with the principals, talk with a student panel, hear from Mr. Wooten about our financial situation, all those things. And I've done that and committed to do that. And I believe that's key to being a successful trustee as well. I also think that you have to be willing to work with people who have different views than your own. We are a public school. That means all viewpoints are welcome, all religions, all ethnicities, and we have to be ready to be able to work with someone that maybe with whom we disagree and have a conversation and find common ground. And the way I firmly believe you do that is you make it about the kids. When we make the kids the center of what we do, we're going to find consensus because all of us are here because we want what's best for our children.
Thank you, Stephanie. Andrew, same question, sir.
You bet. It's integrity, leadership, and vision. And before you vote, I would say those three questions, if you can answer them, then you know you won't have any regrets that you're casting your vote for somebody that has those three qualities. And what I mean by integrity, are they honest? Are they transparent? Are they not afraid of doing the right thing, even when it may not be the popular thing to do? Leadership, have they led? If so, how? Have they coached? Have they hired and retained talent? As a school board trustee, you may not be doing that. Your only employee that actually reports to you is the superintendent, but you influence an awful lot of hiring and retention, and you set policies. And vision. Do they have ideas, real ideas, that can help solve these problems that are facing us? And do they have the experience of doing that in a professional way?
Thank you. And finally, Laura, I'll repeat the question. What are the characteristics of an effective school board in your opinion?
I think the why is very important. Why the candidate is running, what their purpose is, what's driving them. I think that as a school board trustee, you need to have high expectations. You need to hold those high expectations for our students. And you need to stay engaged with the community. I would say one of the most important aspects of that is communication. Open communication, remaining transparent with our community, and that means all of our community. As a trustee, you're gonna have to meet with people that you disagree with. You're gonna have to put politics aside. As far as practical things go, you know, looking at the long-term fiscal impact of our budget, you know, this turning down $10.5 million, I think was a huge mistake, because if our focus is on helping students, then we should have agreed that that money could have really helped students. It could have helped teachers. And so I think that a good leader leads by example. They meet with different parties, even those who they disagree with. Because when you sit down at the table with someone, you learn something usually. You might not agree, but you're learning something to better the district that could really help our students.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to invite our candidates to present their 2-minute closing statements. Since we began the opening remarks with Laura, this is a little different. We're going to go back and Andrew will start with the closing remarks, followed by Stephanie, Alex, and then Laura. So Andrew, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you for the South Lake Community Forum. Thank you, Kush, moderators, everything. You did a wonderful job. It's been a great dialogue about our Carroll ISD and our school board race. As illustrated by the topics that we've covered today, it's clear this election isn't just about a school board race. It's about saving our public schools, strengthening our community, and our children's future. As your trustee, I support teachers and parents. I voted for teacher and staff retention bonuses and policies aimed to rid politics from the classroom. As a Dragon parent and third-generation college teacher, I understand the importance of the parent-teacher partnership. As a business leader for more than 3 decades, I use my skills to help identify substantial savings in the CISD budget and untapped sources of revenue. As your re-elected trustee, I will continue to create a culture of fiscal discipline, make CISD a leader in special programs, and retain and recruit the best teachers. I am about solutions, service above self, and uniting our community. I will never use the media or other outside forces to tear down our community and our school district. Vote to re-elect me, and together we'll continue to work to keep Carroll ISD a leader in Texas public education and the pride of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Stephanie?
In addition to my being the most qualified candidate due to my time as a school teacher, my master's degree in education, and my hundreds of hours in public schools over the years, I would also bring much needed balance to the school board. Since the current board has turned the focus of our school board from students and teachers to politics, we've seen a teacher of the year reprimanded based on a grievance filed by a family who donated to both the PAC and to the campaigns of the trustees who voted in favor of the reprimand. The board having to walk back a decision because it broke educational code and was an overreach of the board's power. The lawsuit that halted all conversation about a diversity plan that was settled, and the board voted to repay the legal fees with the caveat the district not do any work on a diversity plan in the future. The DOE arrived to investigate not 1, but 3 cases of racism and discrimination. The board promised their supporters they will vote in favor of the UIL homeschool rule that would further stress our district financially and take harder-earned spots from current students because it benefits some of the PAC's most visible supporters. A balanced budget that gets more unbalanced by the day thanks to millions of dollars in legal fees and puts limits on CISD's ability to attract and retain quality teachers. False narratives about pornography on library shelves and teachers indoctrinating students. Actions putting CISD at risk of losing our AP courses based on the recent report released by College Board stating its principles, the principles CISD is not currently demonstrating. What we have seen is talk about how to support our current teachers and students, ways to expand our offerings through additional academies like CMA, ways to support our on-level students who make up the bulk of our population, ways to ensure our students leave CISD prepared. Vote for me to get those things done and get the focus back on students.
Okay, thank you. Alex?
So I love teachers. I married one. My mother-in-law was a lifelong teacher. My stepmother was a lifelong teacher. My uncle was a lifelong teacher. So I get it. I love educators. I also bring the business experience that a board requires when you're trying to set policy, when you're trying to look at financials, not just today, but for the future. I have no political agenda. I've never desired to run for political office in my life. I'm doing this for all of you. I report to no one but all of you. So I would ask for your vote. If you want someone with integrity, if you want someone that has been serving and is accustomed to serving, if you want someone that promotes transparency, I'm the guy to do that for you. I work in the business of compliance. In government contracting, everything has a rule, and it's there for a reason. It's so we can be good stewards and be transparent for you, the taxpayer. Regardless of whether you have kids in the school or not, you pay taxes. There's a whole host of issues with a lot of the items that were mentioned earlier. The Tim Tebow law, sending kids to school to play sports. Those are issues that have to be addressed. No one's voted on them yet. It's something that needs to be discussed though. Those are taxpayers. Again, we got to look at the issues. We need a comprehensive plan before anything comes to the board for that. I love books. I read a lot of books. I can't even remember how many I've read. And my stepmother, the English teacher, would kill me if I banned a book, if I even uttered the words. So that's not happening. And AP courses, they're not going away. They know that Southlake is a purveyor of exceptional talent. These kids are extremely talented, probably the most talented generation that we'll see for a very long time. Thank you. I'd love to hear your vote.
Thank you, Alex. And finally, Laura.
I'm going to be very honest. I realized about 1 minute ago that I left my closing remarks in the car. So I'm going to wing it, but I hope this shows you that I'm good under pressure and that I don't react, I reflect. Some of the things that I think would make me a good school board candidate trustee is that I value inclusion, I value diversity, and I value learning from other people. I think our students could really benefit from a great communicator like me. I can have a conversation with anyone. A lot of my family, I'm a well-known progressive, that's no secret. And yet I still absolutely love my family who are conservatives. And we joke that we are each other's favorite people to argue with. And I think that my willingness and my commitment to sit down and have open, honest conversations, however hard those may be, can really help our district move forward. It can help us get out of this controversy and get us back into the headlines for the right reasons. We are an excellent district. We expect excellence. I want to strive for excellence in empathy. It could go a long way. I believe in the golden rule. I believe in treating others as you would like to be treated. So as a school board trustee, I will listen to anyone who comes to the table with me respectfully. I will listen without thinking of a counter argument while they're talking. That's one thing that I taught my Girl Scouts. When you're talking, you're saying things that you already know, but when you listen, you might learn something new. I am a lifelong learner. I love public education. Again, I believe it's the cornerstone of our democracy. And I will protect public schools. I will make sure that we don't have book bans. And I will do my very best to learn and lead with accountability. So I really hope to earn your vote for School Board Trustee Place 6. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And thank you, Laura, Alex, Stephanie, and Andrew. This has been great. I mean, you guys are fantastic. So I know that the crowd is really holding back to applaud. So go ahead and do it now. So with that, we do have color run coming up. And then I have Avni Pahuja, who wants to say a few words about it. Okay.
South Lake Foundation is hosting the second United We Run Color Run on April 16th at the Bicentennial Park. The event starts at 9 a.m. We invite all of you to come and participate at the event. CEF is the beneficiary of the United We Run Color Run. Unless you are running, it is a free event. There will be food, music, color throw, and dance. We hope to see you at the United We Run Color Run on April 16th. Thank you.
Thank you, Avni.
So this concludes our Carroll ISD Board of Trustees Candidate Forum. I hope it was informative. On behalf of both Bianca, Samesh, and I, and all the volunteers of the South Lake Foundation, a special thanks to the young Carroll student volunteers who helped us here today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to each of the candidates. Very much appreciate your assistance. A big thanks obviously goes to the members of the community for participating in this candidate forum. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for all of the engagement online. It's going to be sort of a thing to go back and look at later. And we really appreciate that our candidates, Laura Durant, Alex Sexton, Stephanie Williams, and Andrew Yeager for stepping up to serve the community. Each four of you, if we can give them one more round of applause, please. Once again, reminder that early voting for the Carroll ISD Board of Trustees begins April 25th and goes through May 3rd. The last day to vote is on Election Day, which is Tuesday, May 7th. Thank you all very much. Excuse me, Saturday, May 7th. Thank you, Francie.
Have a great rest of your weekend. God bless America and go Dragons.